At this point, it would be safe to say that the most pertinent question in every person, in every Indian's mind is simply, vaccine kab aayega? We have been through a year that has thrown up challenges, fear, sometimes misery, losses, and now hope. The fact that we are talking about a vaccine for COVID-19 within the same calendar year when most of us first heard about the disease is just astounding. And it is a testimony to what we can do when corporate India, scientists, and governments actually come together for a unified purpose. As we close in on the year 2020, India is no longer asking if we will get the vaccine. The question is by when. And the gentlemen I'm about to speak to are, in a sense, an architect of that hope. So I'm pleased to invite to this discussion Dr. Krishna Ella, CMD of Bharat Biotech, Pankaj Bhai Patel, Chairman of Kerala Healthcare, Gagandeep Singh, Country President of AstraZeneca, and of course, Dr. Habib Horakiwala, Chairman of Wockhardt Limited. Great to speak with all of you. Dr. Ella, let me begin by just simply getting your sense on where we are with Covaxin. We know that there has been an application for emergency use with the authorities. More data has been asked for. What details can you share at this point of what was the data that was required, by when will that be given, and what is the status of phase 3 trials?
Thank you, Tamana. I mean, we have recruited almost 8,000 people, and out of 22,000 people, and I think all these last 15 days we have done recruitment. It's a phenomenal success, and I'm really grateful to a lot of volunteers who are really volunteering, because this is the first efficacy trial in the developing world. India has not done an efficacy trial. So whatever others have done is more of immunogenicity. And so I think we are moving now, and then Pankaj Bhai will be moving on efficacy trial. So I think this is the first efficacy trial of this country in COVID, even including developing world. Even if you look at developing world, we are the first one. It's a challenging task. And I'm really grateful to the government. Honestly, I'm telling you what Dr. Vinod Paul spoke. It's really today, although we started the program only in May, but you see, caught up so fast. And we have done 2,000 people in the phase 1 and 2, 8,000 completed in the phase 3, and we have extremely good, the efficacy data in the monkeys and hamsters, both the data. So we have both upper and lower lung infection totally cleared in both monkeys and hamsters. So we have extremely good preclinical data, and we have extremely good data on the safety profile. And one thing I'm saying, Covaxin, it's inactivated vaccine, a 35 years old technology, and proven technology. It can be given to my 6 months baby also. It can be given to 65 years also can be given. And the safety profile will be extremely good. And I think we are happy about that vaccine. And I think we have filed an emergency license, but we left to the government to review all those things. And whatever we are giving whatever the data they want. So in every angle we have done extremely, but we have done everything according to international standards. Not Indian standard. We have done everything international standard. Thank you, Tamana. Over.
Dr. Ella, if I just may ask you one quick follow-up. I know the phase 3 trials have begun on November 17th, and your vaccine is a 2-dose vaccine with a 28-day gap. So, of course, we're still waiting for second dose. So these requests for emergency use have been based on phase 2 results?
Yeah, we can ask both phase 1 and 2, and also the preclinical efficacy data on monkeys is also give a clear indication that monkey data is so good. And phase 1, 2 also we have done 2,000 people, not a small number, and that also safety and immunogenicity is proven. And also we are seeing immune response of the AstraZeneca, we are seeing immune response of Pfizer, where they stand on the immune responses. So we do have some microneutralization assays, parameters and correlations. It's not, dumbly, without any evidence, we are not jumping in it. So we have multiple evidences to prove that it has got similarities. And we know the peer-reviewed publication of both Oxford and as well as the Pfizer, where the endpoints are. So we are looking at those things also very seriously. It's not something we're jumping on. And look at China. China has given an emergency license. Russia has given emergency license on phase 1 itself, phase 1, 2 itself. So nothing wrong in this. But I think, and it's a whole technology, platform proven technology. I'm not jumping into mRNA or something new generation vaccine. It's a proven technology. So it's something not new to the field.
Absolutely. Pankaj Bhai, what can you tell us about Zydus D? Have we started on phase 3 yet? You have said earlier that by Q1 of 2021, perhaps we can see the rollout. What can you update us with, sir?
So, Tamanna, our phase 2 trial has been completed. Currently, the analysis is going on. We expect to complete the analysis very soon and submit the data to move into phase 3. I cannot give you exact date because that would depend on the data analysis and also on the regulator giving approval to start the phase 3. As far as the vaccine is concerned, phase 2 has shown the vaccine to be very safe. We have done the study over a period of almost 3 months on almost 1,000 volunteers to find out the data, and we have seen no safety signals which could be concerned. And also we have seen a very promising animal data, as my dear friend Krishna was telling. We also did the primate study, and we found very encouraging result in primate study. So I think the real point I'm trying to say here is that we are all there to happen. What we are offering is a vaccine we believe can be also given for people who got COVID once, because this vaccine can be given a number of times to more number of people. And we also see that this vaccine is a very stable vaccine, and it may not require a very cold temperature, even to 20 degrees. We've seen the vaccine to be stable up to 3 months at even 30 degrees centigrade. The most important part is that the platform which we have used is a DNA vaccine platform. And there we see clearly that if tomorrow, and hopefully not, the virus will mutate, we should be able to come out with a generation in a very, very short period, maybe 4 weeks. And that's the way we have an advantage over that. Amanna, I would like to add here, we would need to continue working on vaccines. My dear friend Krishna, I did not mention, but he's already working on a nasal vaccine. Because I think we will need much more, as we know, because everything is evolving. Today we have some limited data on vaccines across the world, which could be 2 months, 3 months, 4 months of data. But I think over a period we will know which vaccine will have a long-term efficacy, which could ultimately do it. So Krishna, my dear friend Krishna, is doing a vaccine on nasal vaccine. We as a company are doing a measles vaccine, which is currently now gone into clinical testing. This is the measles-based vector virus vaccine. We're using a known standard Zagreb strain in which we have created this vaccine, and that could also help us to also get a vaccine which could be equally safe as because it is being already tested and used for a number of years across the world. So I believe India has a great capability of creating this innovation. And I'm thankful to everybody in the government who have been supporting us like anything to make this happen, including Dr. Paul and all the people at DCGI, at DBT, at ICMR and everywhere. More importantly, this has told us that India can do things. We need to create this environment forever. The innovation environment which we have created today, we have to make it permanent. To make sure that on a continuous basis, India will continue to innovate. We have benefited a lot for what was done in West. Time is to repay our debt. Time is to also do work where we can offer to the world something which the world is looking forward. Thank you.
Mr. Patel, is there any plan anytime soon to also apply for an emergency use for Zydus D? Anything you can share with us on that, on where you are moving, or will you wait for phase 3?
We will like to complete the phase 3 before we apply for the emergency authorization. However, if the global policy changes or Indian policy changes, based on the early data, they would like to consider doing that, we would be happy to apply.
Okay. Mr. Singh, I'm going to ask you a question which actually is for all vaccine makers, but specifically from the point of view of AstraZeneca, because it seems like it could be the front runner to what India will get first and India will approve first. How do we make sure that people feel this is a safe and solid process? And I'm talking about lay people, because we all know that the misinformation, the WhatsApp messages, all of that has started. People don't fully understand the process. So in the case of the AstraZeneca vaccine, for example, when we get information that one kind of dosage actually has produced a higher efficacy, where there was a half dosage first and then a full dosage, and that wasn't really planned, but it so happened and give us a 90% plus efficacy. How do you then dispel concerns of lay people that the process is truly robust? Because it's difficult for people to understand how something like that would happen.
Sure. Thank you at the outset for inviting me over, and also to the esteemed panelist. Very good afternoon. I think very appropriate time to ask this question, Tamanna, I must say, because if you see, we've had our first peer-reviewed data independently, which was published of our phase 3 results, which we had announced on 23rd November in Lancet. And the interim analysis was based on data of over 11,500 volunteers across UK as well as Brazil, from a phase 3 perspective. And of course, we know our partners, Serum Institute, have been conducting trial in India as well. We also noticed, the vaccine is not only effective, but it demonstrating protection against severe disease and hospitalization, is pretty safe as well as well tolerated. So I think from that standpoint, very clearly you've got probably the first vaccine with a peer-reviewed information which is available. In terms of your specific question around different dose, while it was serendipity and was unplanned, but has given an intriguing results, and all steps were discussed with the regulator before anyone was vaccinated, and we agreed to change the unplanned half dose to full dose, and which has given these fascinating results. So all I can assure is that it's been absolutely transparent process that has been followed, and regulated have been followed. Publication through a peer-reviewed in a peer-reviewed journal as well.
Mr. Singh, Mr. Poonawala has been quoted as saying that the vaccine could be available as early as Jan in India if the permissions come through. What are the kind of steps you think will have to move forward to ensure a smooth rollout and the right kind of production? What are the kind of challenges you see?
Sure, very good question. I think Dr. Paul did touch upon very, very specific that we are such an enormous country. But I'll just like to kind of dial back and talk about what our journey has been. We started working in April with the Oxford University, and currently we're hoping to get emergency use authorization and approved, and that can potentially mean that we could have something which will be available as early as first half of 2021. But remember that for any vaccine to be meaningful in the current pandemic, it has to be made available broadly, equitably, as well as timely. And that's what Dr. Paul also touched upon it. And keeping that in mind, we've signed up close to about 3 billion doses supply agreements across the world. And what we're hoping is to cover close to about 160 countries with these supplies. On top of that, Tamanna, I think due to the viral vector platform, which is used to produce our vaccine, it can be manufactured on a relatively large scale. And we're fortunate to partner with Serum, which has one of the largest capacity. And more importantly, this vaccine can be stored, transported, and handled at refrigerated conditions, which we are all very comfortable handling, which is between 2 to 8 degrees, and meaning that it can be administered pretty rapidly across the country. So I think that's what we're hoping to do, depending on when we get the approval from the authorities in India.
Dr. Khorakiwala, I know that you have offered the Aurangabad facility to the government, to vaccine makers, to ramp up production. Is there anything, sir, that you can update us on if any of those conversations have moved forward? And how do you see private industry really playing a big role when it comes to the tough work of actually vaccinating such a large number of people?
I think there are two issues we have raised fundamentally, and we have discussed with the government. I think government today rightly focused on the vaccine developers, and once the vaccine developed, the question of production would come. And I believe in an Indian context, the existing vaccine manufacturers have enough capacity for fill finish or vaccine manufacturing. So there is no perceivable gap there. But I think this also offers an opportunity for India, because India has always been a large supplier of vaccine. And worldwide, what is contracted today with AstraZeneca and others is something around 5 to 6 billion doses. And if world population has to be vaccinated, there is an enormous gap. And that gap, India can not necessarily completely fulfill, but has a great opportunity available. For example, like we have offered our facility to UK government, and we have started already manufacturing Oxford vaccine since last week, and we should be supplying them in next few weeks. So UK government is getting ready. Once the emergency approval is there, it will be used in the UK. Probably in India, it may come more or less in the same time frame. The other aspect which we are looking at, I think we should look at, that any research work, and what Pankaj rightly said earlier, that one is never sure of to what extent each of these vaccines will be effective. Only time will tell. We are making assumptions there. And therefore, from India's perspective, what is happening worldwide is there is a large number of vaccine developers. And India should take this opportunity because there is going to be a limitation of capacity for manufacturing large quantity of vaccine when there is a pandemic. And that is where India can play a role. And that is where we have created an opportunity for VOCA, that we both have vaccine as well as fill finish capacity. And we are in discussion with a number of companies who would like to manufacture their product for emerging markets.
Any details you'd like to share on those, Dr. Khorakiwala, or is it just too early on any of these companies?
I think it is premature. I wouldn't say it is early or late. It is a premature, and we can share as and when something gets finalized.
There is one question I actually want to ask all of our panelists, and I'll start with Dr. Ella, on how does one deal with the adverse impact stories which keep popping up. And I believe that, of course, over the last few months, all of us have been reading and understanding much more about the science of developing vaccines than we ever have. I think common people know more about it than they ever have. But if you can explain that to us, Dr. Elam, when these adverse incidents take place, do you think that there is a necessity for more transparency to try and address that completely and immediately on why it happened? Was it unrelated to the vaccination? Did the person have a previous comorbidity? Were they in a placebo? Or any such situation? Right now, it seems sometimes there's a fog swirling over what exactly happened, and then that doesn't lead to much confidence.
I think you asked a very appropriate question. Some of the media people will be waiting with a tweeter to immediately tweet what I say. I'll say a very simple thing. Two things I want to point out very clearly. Number one, we are not inhuman people. We are very sensitive to the volunteers who are given their life to us for our clinical trial. We are more sensitive than the press are media people. Honestly, I'm telling you. Every small reaction, we are so sensitive. We don't sleep in the night time. Even a smallest reaction, we really become very nervous breakdown for us. Nobody understands that. They think, we are not transparent. We are 200% transparent. But we have protecting the volunteers has to be protected. We can't disclose the volunteer's name. We cannot disclose anything. But what is important, transparency here, is do I inform to the regulatory people or not? Do I inform to Drug Safety Monitoring Board, DSMB? Do I report to Ethical Committee of that institute? Do I report to the Drug Control Department? That's a very important. Yes, we do that, all these things. But media wants, somebody gets a fever, the media, this so-and-so fellow got a fever. Please announce it in the transparently in the newspaper. That's not the way the clinical trial is done. There's a confidentiality. Can I have an income tax of yours to be disclosed? Not possible. There is a propriety of the data. Something has to be protected. Media should ask simple question. I have 150 people are working in a BSL-3 containment facility. Let media person, one person to work in my BSL-3 containment for 1 month. 1 month, I'll surrender my head to them. So we are concerned to every volunteer who is contributing to the clinical research of this country. Okay? So I think the media people should be educated first, and I think they should need more education than all of us. And I think they should understand in a BSL-3 containment facility, my people giving a life and working in a BSL-3 containment with a live virus, working with a 500 liters fermented live virus. They're not concerned about it. Somebody gets a vaccine, he gets a pneumonia in less than 10 days, 1 week. Is it a blame for vaccine? We inform. Somebody gets a vaccine and he should be protected COVID within 1 week. Does it happen? We say clearly after second dose, 15 days after second dose is what the protection level starts. Clearly. They don't even read that English language in a CTD document in a clinical trial protocol. They don't read that. Immediately they want everything sensationalized. I think they're hurting the startup companies' innovation of this country by doing like that. They're becoming negative. I don't know why they're negative. I don't know whether they're negative at home itself also. If they're negative at home, that's what they're translating in this matter. They should be truthfully look at it in an angle that we are truthful. I'm telling honestly, we are more truthful than any other countries in the world. Honestly, I'm telling. All Indian manufacturers, we know the media is so strong in this country. We are more sensitive about that. And we are more 200% transparent. We are not hiding anything. Any of us are not hiding anything. But that media people are not understanding. They want sensationalize. They want to make like a Bollywood story. Now vaccine has become a Bollywood story now in this country. Thank you, Tamanna.
Tamanna, can I come in? Tamanna, can I come in?
Absolutely, Dr. Paul. I must say, let me say one sentence, Dr. Ella. I feel what you're saying. I'm in no position to speak on behalf of the media, but I just want to say, I think everyone in this country appreciates what all of you are doing. If this was a movie and the villain was the COVID-19 vaccine, well, this is the team of heroes, isn't it? Who's trying to put together a superpower to finish it all. So I appreciate it. Yes, Dr. Paul, please do come in.
Very briefly, firstly, we should salute our corona warriors that are generating these vaccines. But the substantive point has two dimensions. One, that please appreciate the procedures and the science and the scientific steps and the institutions that are supposed to handle that. By this, what I mean is that if such an event takes place, as Krishnaji said, this is reported to the ethics committee, this is reported to the DCGI, it is reported to the DSMB, and they take a call. These are independent people. The people are not individual. They're a group of people with all dimensions of considerations around. Please respect them and ask them what their call is, and we should accept that. And likewise, when our regulator, with all its committees, will say, safe, effective vaccine, accept it, then we should not make, foolish questions around it. Have faith in our own institutions. Have faith in our own institutions. That's the message that should go out to all of us, to the media, everybody, because great institutions make great nations. My second part is moderation on some of these issues. We are going to have a very strong AEFI system when the vaccine is rolled out. I overlooked stating that. Adverse effects following immunization is a standard way of tracking side effects. We'll do that. And the companies will also do post-marketing surveillance as a part of their responsibility. So there are two tracks where these things will be monitored, tracked, and responded to. And please, that's what we should ensure, that these procedures are adhered to, SOPs are adhered to. There should be no place for misinformation, fake news, and rumors. Please, media, I request you that you please create a code of conduct so that we don't allow this to harm the larger public health cause and the public, public goodness cause, the public welfare cause. Thank you so much.
Dr. Paul, you're absolutely right. And because I've got an opportunity, if I can just ask you one question. Now, for example, when the subject expert committee decided that they wanted more data, so the official release or the official information that all of us got was simply that there was more data that was required. Do you think that this could be a test case to understand what kind of data, by when? So there is an idea of what is going on. And I fully appreciate your point about the fear of disinformation. And unfortunately, it is not the media. It is now a situation where anyone can spread fake news. But yes, that is one concern. If you can just answer this point about the process.
Well, remember, our fight against the virus globally is going to be won by science. Disease control, surveillance is epidemiological science. Clinical management is science. So and vaccine discovery and drug discovery is science. So please respect the scientific temper and the scientific, enterprise and the capital of the nation and of the world. And I think there is too much of, jabbing to the scientists. Having said that, you are absolutely right that you have a right to ask how the decision was taken. But I think it was no time was given on that day. So I agree with you that there has to be a dialogue. And please remember, every week we have a dialogue with the nation through our press conferences. Earlier it was every day. Let's use a channel in addition to other channels. I respect what you said. You want to know a little more? What is the meaning of this data? Is it death data or is it immunogenicity data? The two have a different connotation, right? That's okay. I think I accept that dialogue should be there, but please, someday we must make sure that the scientific institutions, what they're saying, believe in them, because then we move forward. The buck has to stop some, because we as scientists will take responsibility for the truth. Thank you so much.
Pankaj Bhai, I would like your view on this very interesting debate we're having right now. The message that is going out to the public, efficacy, transparency, and safety. So I think you may be on mute, sir.
Yeah. So Tamana, you asked a very interesting questions, and I think my colleagues have said you got. But I want to take you to the beginning of this meeting, where Lord David Pryor said, public confidence is going to be very important if we want to win against this virus. How do you build public confidence? It's through strong science and strong communication and correct communication. And that's why it is going to be very important that all of us, whether it's pharmaceutical manufacturer or a vaccine manufacturer, a healthcare professional, or anybody in the walks of life, including media, everybody has to take a responsibility to give confidence to people. Because if tomorrow you are unable to generate confidence, then how are we going to take care of this disease? So I think that is going to be very important. So of course, if there are problems, it's a job of us and you, all of us, to bring to the notice of the people. But before understanding that fully, breaking news does not make sense. But it will definitely make sense. A well thought of, well discussed thing, it will make sense. And I think that is what we need to do it. So I think, as I would say, it's going to be very important that we all work together as a team to generate public confidence. And that will ensure that we will win over this disease.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Reddy. And I think this is a part of the movement towards creating more trust with the kind of candid answers that we've seen today, and top scientists and companies working together.